a little review goes a long way. I hope. I know that for me, if I don't review, this is just kind of, let me just kind of nurture you and maybe nudge you a little bit in a direction of review. When God speaks to me, oh my gosh, through all my years, I might be sitting and listening to a professor in Bible college when I was 19 years old. Maybe I was sitting and listening to the first pastor that I felt just spoke right to my heart. He was one of my mentors. Whether it was someone in a Bible study sharing something that was like, oh, that's true. One of the things I did was I just journaled it. I just wrote it down because I wanted to capture what I sensed the Lord saying. I cannot encourage you enough to do that, to make that a practice, to write something down, right? Not just to think it. It's okay. It's great to think great thoughts about God, but to document your thoughts about God, to document your discoveries about God, that's a whole different deal. Okay, we're talking about what I call is the critical link to spiritual focus, spiritual formation, and how to defeat sin. It's something that I dub as awareness. Well, it's not my word. It's a word of the English language, but it is a word that represents something that God is always seeking to do. He's seeking to bring light out of darkness. He's seeking to bring understanding where there was once misunderstanding. Where there was ignorance, he's wanting to bring knowledge. That's called awareness. You and I can be aware of content, and that's great. I got some new content here. Wonderful. But the content that God most wants us to be aware of is that which pertains to him and that which pertains to us. Here's my definition. Awareness is the process of some truth about God and his purposes for our life and about ourselves, who we are, our brokenness, sinfulness, selfishness, coming to light. It's like, ta-da! Have you ever had an epiphany? It's like, I never saw that before. I did. Oh my gosh. I didn't realize that was true about me. I'm selfish. I'm envious. I'm prideful. My gosh, I am so defensive. Have you had any of those epiphanies? That's awareness. Whenever you all of a sudden see something you previously did not see, what does that do? I believe what it does is open a door of potential growth, of incredible opportunity for you to step through that door and walk into that space and say, okay, now that I know this about myself, how shall I live? Well, you cannot die to some sin you don't know you have. If you got a sin of lust, if you got a sin of selfishness, of prejudice, of envy, of sexual aberrant nature, if you don't recognize it, you don't own it, you're not going to die to it. You're not going to master it. You're not going to rule over it. The very things that God asked Cain to do. So today, I just want to encourage you, take some time and ask yourself, am I self-aware? Am I living and walking daily in the light of God's truth, of who he is and who I am? Two sets of categories here. Then we could add on other awareness, but let's just keep it close to home for now. Awareness of self. This is aware that I think I'm kind of ignorant. Have you ever heard the phrase, you don't know what you don't know? That's a topic I'm completely ignorant of. Please tell me more. Or I'm in denial. Maybe I do have a drinking problem or an anger problem or a selfish problem. Maybe I do have a lust problem. What is that? Are you denying something that maybe others see or you should see? Maybe it's defensiveness. Defensiveness for me, Oh my gosh, that's been one of the ways that God has lit up my spiritual dashboard. When I'm defensive, I know my flesh is in overdrive. When I am defensive, I know my flesh is in overdrive. Um, and it's a great time for me to pause and say, Lord, what's going on under the surface? Is it anger? Is it jealousy? Is it envy? Is it insecurity? And I got to tell you something. I've had all those going on under the surface in my life. And I am so blessed and I'm so thankful that somewhere in the journey, God began to open my eyes to things that were incredibly uncomfortable. But once I saw them, I could begin to rule over them through the power of Jesus instead of those sin vulnerabilities, those character defects ruling over me. I want the same for you. Ask the Lord, Lord, reveal to me what's under the surface in my life. What makes me angry? What makes me sad? What makes me defensive? Lord, open my eyes that I may see. Pray you have a great week, a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow.